Thanks once again for joining the call. Um, I expect that we would have a good time and it will be enlightening and very insightful. Thank you very much. Dozie, you can carry on.
Okay, so Tony, thanks a lot for that smart introduction. Once again, I would like to say good morning to everyone on the section. I hope I can be heard. Can you hear me? Can I get a feedback? Can I get a feedback? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay. You can see my screen as well. All right.
Yes, I can
Okay,
see
so
your
that's
screen.
good. So we are good to go. So good morning, everyone. I'm so glad that you joined me in today's section as part of the value propositions we have been reaching out to our customers to let them know that they already have a plethora of services that they were onboarded with when they buy Microsoft solutions, just to make sure that they get the value out of the things that they bought, and also to interact with them and to have questions we can answer a bit later or within the section. So once again, my name is Chidozie Uzoma Jelono. I'll be the one that will be presenting today on how to drive better business outcome with Microsoft platform. Okay, so I basically have a chat window. If you have any need for you to get in touch with us with any question while the section is going on, please do well to drop your question within the window. Also do well to call my attention where we can explain some things to make it very clear. Now, of a truth, the topic is so broad, and basically I'm going to do a first level or a bit second level introduction. I hope that the organizers next time we can break it down into different components of Power Platform so that we can drill down deeply into each of the components. But this morning, today, we are going to look at the broad view of Microsoft Power Platform and look at what is the vision behind Microsoft that they gave us this platform for business agility. So the first of it all is we talk about data. It's important we talk about data. Why? First of all, data represents in the diagram that's shown on my screen is central to all digital transformation, because it is the data you know that you can work with. So every business, every organizations generate data. Data is a representation of the activities of any particular business. It can reside in a document format. It can reside in, make sure that I simplify it in a way that we can understand it. So data also comes from common data services, and we might be thinking, what is the difference between these two places that data come from, and why must I choose one against the other? That is a great question. So I looked at it this way, that we have two types of data. We have external data and we also have internal data. Remember, we are talking about within the sphere of Microsoft Power Platform. So external data are data you can connect onto. For example, you want to connect to an Oracle application. It is not residing within Power Platform. You want to connect to a Microsoft SQL Server that is handling another system, which is not part of the Power Platform. So you can bring in data into Power Platform by connecting to it. And once you are connecting to any resource outside the Power Platform, I regard it as an external data. Now, that is talking about external data. So what do you do with external data, right? You connect to it. Anything you can reach out to via API, anything you can connect to via connections that you have been given with. So we regard that as an external data within the system. Okay, so another way you can bring in or generate data within Power Platform is the one I call the internal data. So internal data, as it were, is data that resides within the Power Platform. This data is native, it is intrinsic part of the Power Platform. So the database resides within the Power Platform. It is not within outside your environment. So it's totally managed on Azure, and that is where it's been deployed. So just have a quick recap. We have just mentioned that Power Platform is a suite of services that comprises of Power Apps, Power BI, Power Automate, AI Builder, Power Virtual Agent, and also the recent one that's about to come, Project for Web. So let's move on a little bit to go deeper from here. So Microsoft provides connectivity to external and internal data via connectors. Now, for external data and internal data stories built around these CDS, now it's important for me to bring out these dimensions to you to have understanding if you want to build your apps around it. So, for example, this is important for me to mention. Now, it summarizes the way you look and the way you build your apps. So this is a slide that I actually added that I thought it would be really important for us to touch us a little bit about the apps that we can build within our organization. So we have Power Apps that comes in two flavors. We have the Canvas and we have the model-driven apps. Okay, so looking at my on my presentation slides, you can see that Power Apps that is Canvas-driven, you can reach it out with connectors, and also you can build it with Common Data Service. Now, it can be your SharePoint. You can connect to your SharePoint. You can connect to OneDrive. You can connect to any other services, cloud services, and even your on-premises services via gateway. Now, the other flavor is model-driven apps. So once you are building a model-driven apps, it can only use the Common Data Service. So model-driven apps can only be built against CDS. You can't build a model-driven service with connectors. And the next line there that is important also is Power Portal. Is also another flavor of Power Apps. Now it's actually meant for you to interrelate with partners outside your system. Probably you have a vendor, you have another business-to-business relationship with another company. They can connect with you via Power Portals. But you see, you can't connect to that data. You can only build that data within Common Data Service. All right, talking about the flow, which is Power Automate. Power Automate against both of them, both connectors and also Common Data Service. Now, looking at AI Builder also, you can only work against CDS platform. You can't connect within this. You can't connect outside to fetch a data for AI builders. And also the final one there is the Power BI. So with Power BI, it works across both types of data. So once you log into your app environment, you find out that these things are within them, lying down, bet within that place. So you can find out that there's one called Canvas, there's one called Model, there is a portal, of course, Power Automate, AI Builders, and Power BI. Okay, so why external data? Why do we need to reach out to external data? Why do you need to touch these points exactly? So I have a slide that tells a little bit what we can do with our external data. So with connectors, there is a bunch of cool things going on here. A lot of them going on here. You look at the sheer volume of connectors that Microsoft has already provided for us. About 275 connectors are available today. So that means I can connect to my OneDrive. I can connect to my email. I can connect to Salesforce. I can connect to almost 275 applications that is within the cloud services. And if there is anyone that is not within this range, then probably you can connect via an API, which you can generate within your internal systems. So that's one thing we need to know about external connectors. Another thing, again, we need to know with Power Platform is that you can also connect to on-premises systems via your on-premises data gateway. So you have your SharePoint deployed in the environment, or you have another application that is on-premise. You can also connect to these applications to fetch data and do a whole lot we have discussed about what to do with data. Now, leaving that place, you can see that you can build custom connectors as well. Probably your IT systems build an internal applications that is not among the ones mentioned here. You can develop an API, custom connectors that can connect with Power Automate or any of the Power Platform components. Now, the last thing I want to mention again is that these things can be done within a single application interface. Okay, so we need to look at exactly, we talked about external services. Can we talk about the internal data that's been generated within the Power Platform? Why that internal data? So that will take me to the next slide to tell you, look, it is smart, it scales, and it's secure because it's built with the same deep integration of Azure Active Directory that manages authorization and authentication. And that is why the internal data is secure. So when you want to start building your app, you might choose to build your app based on these two data types that we have within Power Platform. Either you want to connect to a repository of data within your environment to fetch data, or that you want to start building a new database within Power Platform, which we call the Common Data Service. So let me just quickly do a small definition of the meaning of Common Data Service. So I would like to see it as Common Data Service is the service that easily structures a variety of data and business logic to support data and business interconnected applications. I'm getting a feedback from the background. Hello? Hello?
Hello, Dozier. Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. All right. I just got an echo, so I needed to stop and know why, if my attention is being called. So with Common Data Service, it's very easy to define the structure of your data in a Common Data Service, that's CDS. You don't need to be able to write SQL statements. You don't need to understand complex distributed transactions. So it's all about your entities, so you can start building within that Azure platform. Also, another keyword that comes up in CDS is that it deals with a variety of data. So talk about any data, you can bring it within CDS also. It is also built to support interconnected applications. That means it's not meant to stand alone. It can connect to other systems and work together with other systems. And finally, it is secure and it is compliant. So I'm taking us through this point to see the things that we have within the connect all these things together in the Power Platform. So everything that runs within the Power Platform is with APIs. And that is what is within the box, right? So the first thing is everything you do in CDS is via API. You don't have to work with these APIs if you don't want to, but it's really important for you to understand that they exist within the system that you're working with. So when you go in and you want to create an entity, you are calling an OData API. When you're retrieving an information about the shape of a data, you're also calling an OData API. So everything you interact within the system, whether you call up a Power Apps, whether you call up a Power Automate, whether you call up a Power BI, what you are doing is that you are consuming an API that is underneath within the system. Very quickly, I'll run us through with the way to interact with these systems. Then we can now pick each of them individually and see how we can learn from them. So first and foremost is that if you want to interact with Power BI, Power Automate, or Power Apps, all of them consumes API. Even when you want to build a custom application with Visual Studio, you still call an API to interact with this Common Data Service. Now, within Common Data Service, there is a security layer when you want to hit the API. So this handles both the authentication, it handles the authorization, and above all, there is an auditing trail that runs within the system that you can find out who does what and what happens to the data that is residing within the system. The next thing you can do with CDS also, which is a very important part of Power Platform, is that you can build business logic around it. You can build your business rules around it. You can duplicate detections. You can build workflows around it. This is being handled by this platform as well. So the next layer you can talk about the CDS is the data layer. In the data layer, you can have all manner of visualizations. You can call up reporting. You can build models. A whole lot you can do within the data layer. Then the next layer we're going to talk about is the storage layer. So within the storage layer, of course, we have all our blobs and our files in Azure that is being managed with our data. And the final layer I want to talk about here is the layer of integration. I just mentioned that CDS is not meant to be alone. CDS can integrate to any other application that is available. It can be a web hooks, it can be an Azure function, it can be an event services. It can call up these things. So I know you'll be asking a question, very correct, that within all these things I just roll out now, the Power Platform, the Power Apps, or the Common Data Service, which one should I use? Which one should consume my time? Now, it's important I answer this last slide on the introduction to Power Platform. Now, the truth of the matter is this: we're no longer thinking inside a box. So we are supposed to have a growth mindset. So we think inside an oval. So you see Power Platform within a big oval, and also you see that all these services are contained within this oval. So we are looking at both the CDS, the Automate, the AI Builder, the Power Apps, the Power BI, and eventually other services that will be added in the future. Remember, I did mention about Power Virtual Agent, which is just like a bot that runs within this service. And also I mentioned about the project for web. So these things are the things you get in mind. So on a summary, in summarizing, all you need to take home is this, that the Power Apps is not Power Automate. Automate is not Power BI. Power BI is not CDS, nor AI Builder. We all have these components together to make up the Power Platform. So these are the components that makes up the Power Platform. In recap, Power Platform is a suite that comprises all these individual components. Now, these individual components on their own, they are doing wonderful. You can use them marvelously within your environment. But Microsoft is trying to give us a change of look that these things, when they work together, they can be a game changer. They can turn a whole lot of things within your organization. And that is what the Power Platform is comprised of, at least as of today. So I would like to take up the individual components, but maybe let me pause at this to see if I can get any question from the audience concerning the Power Platform. Welcome those who are joining the section now. We have just done for a few slides discussing the overview of Power Platform, Microsoft Power Platform. And what we did mention is that Microsoft Power Platform is a suite of solutions that comprise of different components. And these components are the Power Apps, the Power Automate, the Power BI. Also recently they added the Power Virtual Agents. And I did mention that there is one that is on the way coming, which is called the Project for Web. Now the idea is all the things work together to deliver an end-to-end experience for any business organizations. Also, we did recall that I said that in this platform, there are two ways you can treat a data. It's either you bring a data externally or you generate a data internal with Power Platform. And for external data, we did mention that you can connect to external data. So when you are reaching out to your SQL Server, your ERP systems, what you are doing is that you are connecting to the data. But when you are starting to build a new applications within the system, you are using the Common Data Service, then it becomes an internal data within the system. Now, above all the things we have said, we said that data is at the center of the digital transformation. So with data, you can do a whole lot around it. You can act upon the data using Power Apps. You can automate a data using Power Automate. You can analyze the data using Power BI, and you can learn from that data using AI Builder. I think that's enough to say this is what we have, a recap of all we have said within the past 30 minutes before our new joiners come on board. Okay, so very quickly, we want to take a little bit of these components one after the other and see how we can do a single or a standalone overview of these solutions. The next session I'm going to handle, like I did mention, is to request the organizers. We can take them one after the other and do a live demo of what they look like. Or we can also, at the end of the section, we can do a one demo that connects the Power Automate, connects the Power BI, connects the AI Builder, and a whole lot, so that we see how the platform is chained together. But we may not be able to get it done within the system. So we are taking out the first component. The first component is Power BI. So what is Power BI? What is Power BI? So we can look at Power BI as a collective name for an assortment and different cloud services, cloud-based app services. Power BI also is not just one service that's within Power BI. It's a lot of services within the Power BI. So I'm going to mention a few of these services that falls under the umbrella of Power BI. So Power BI is an answer of data exploration and visualization from Microsoft. That is what we use to analyze data and give meaning to a data. So primarily, Power BI pulls data together and processes it. It turns it into an intelligent insight, often using visually compelling and easy to process charts and graphs. That's the best way I can try to define Power BI. It has a whole lot of different meanings which people can give it, but basically this is what it's meant to do. So it's just an umbrella term that refers to a client application, which is Windows desktop application called Power BI Desktop. That is one of them. It also comprises of an online software as a service, which we call Power BI Service. It also comprises of mobile Power Apps, which is available in Windows, Android, and any other applications. So within this umbrella called Power BI, I've just mentioned three things: the Power BI Desktop, the Power BI Service, and the Power BI Apps, which runs on the mobile. Okay, so digging deeper into what we are meant to discuss around this. So what can we do with Power BI Desktop? So first, Power BI Desktop is an authoring tool that allows you to connect your data. You can get your data anywhere, just like we've been discussing from the onset. So you can bring into Power BI to perform critical analysis of your data. So first of all, you can get a data. You can analyze that data once you have it. You can visualize that data. You can publish the data, and you can collaborate with it. So it does not matter where that data resides. It might reside in any of your silos applications or databases. For example, let's say we have a user profile of an employer, an employee. Now, if we dissect a profile of an employee, it should have a name, it will have an ID number, it will have an address, it will have a whole lot of things. But one of the things I know that may not be residing in some databases is the salary of this particular employer that normally resides within the ERP system. So when you want to run an analysis based on this employer, so you might be calling up the name of this employer, calling up his address from SharePoint. You will be calling up the salary of this employer, calling it up from an ERP system. You might be calling up the JD and the leave vacations that this employer has taken from the HR systems. So these are different tons of data that resides in different systems within any organization. So in the point of analyzing the data, that is where you do a whole lot with that data. So you call up his name from this ERP, you call up his salary from this, you call up his vacations from this, you can mash up this data. You do a cleanup of the data, analyze the data before you can present a visualization of this data. So this is basically what this authoring tool helps us to do. And guess what? Power BI service is free of charge. It gets an update, I think, every every 2 months or no, every month there's a new update that comes up with Power BI desktop. So moving a little bit further is the what the dashboard looks like. So you can see within the screen that I have you can bring in reports that are being presented in a dashboard. So a dashboard is a canvas that holds different reports together. So I have their units of the product by sales. I have sales amounts by brand name. I have sales amounts by year, month, and brand name. I have units sold by year, quarter, and any of the indices you can drill with. So within this canvas, you can virtually see the business at the fingerprint of your hands. So you can wake up to call up this data and refresh this data, and we give you the real time of a performance of that particular business line of business or the company as a whole, based on the data you are dealing with. So within this dashboard also, you have a lot of tools we can work with. By the left side, you can see the tools that handles different things. So where you can call up the data, that's what we're showing up here. You can use different kind of visualizations to bring up your data. So you can present it in a peer chart, you can present it in a graphic format, you can present it in any kind of way you want to do, play with this data for easy use of your company or management staff or anyone that requires to have an insight into the data. So I'm just going through the few of the tools that we have here. So these are the fields tools. This is where we run filters and a few things that I'm positioning in this place. So to recap, Power BI is the component also that does the analysis of the data, just like we mentioned. And within that system, we have a whole lot we can do. You can get a data from any format, from any database, from Excel, from anything whatsoever. You can do a whole lot of work with that data and present it in a readable format. So another component again of the Power Platform is the Microsoft Flow, which we now call Power Automate. So I'm just going deep. Later we can take questions, but if you have any question, just call my attention back. We can answer it before we continue moving. So next component is Power Flow, Power Automate. Pardon me. We used to know it as Flow. So Flow is part of the Microsoft Power Platform, one of the components. Remember I mentioned there are 4 components, and these are the components. We have the Power BI, we have the Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agent. And below it again, we have a lot of things we do as a baseline within these services. So part of the vision of Microsoft is that Power Automate is to empower people to drive more business value through automation. Now, automation is leading the digital transformation era, which we're in. You can digitize your processes, you can digitize your documents. Everything end to end can be managed and automated via Power Automate. And it's just a rule-based services that you just call up that done this approval services to any place you want to call it up to. So we can drill down when we can get down to the next section and see how to use this thing. So I'm sure we all have an idea of the digital transformation. So our goal within Power Automate is to enable everyone within the organization to digitally transform any aspect of the work. It can be a mundane task work, it can be everyday work, it can be a business critical task. Power Automate can help you to automate that. So what can Power Automate do very quickly? What can we do with it? So we can automate at any scale. Anything you want to do with Power Automate, it can reach out to it. It is seamless, secure integration within the Power Automation. It accelerates your productivity. I can imagine a company that still need to carry out files before they can go on vacation. Within this lockdown, remote work has come on the limelight, and a lot of companies have found out that after all, we are not fully digitized because somebody still wants to pass in documents. He can't get to office to do that. Somebody need to send in an approval document. You can't get to the office to do that. Now, we can digitize those processes, and at the click of your button, it will do exactly what you could have done by carrying those files to Office. So this is what we are talking about, and it is an intelligent automation anyway. Now, within the Office 365, it is scattered within the platform, and I will just mention a few of them. The automation platform your organization needs. So you can automate across the on-premises environment you have. Your legacy applications, you can automate against them. You can easily share your flows, just like you share documents. You can easily do that. It is natively integrated with the entire Microsoft ecosystem. It has a rich extensibility model through Microsoft Azure. All these things you can do within Flow. Remember, Flow can go against the connectors and also against the CDS platform. So we have Microsoft Flow to do that. And it is automation for all. What do I mean by automation for all? I'll show you in a moment what I mean by automation for all. So basically, the same thing we have, I showed us earlier before, you can automate and connect against 275 plus app connectors. So whether you want to fetch data from OneDrive, from Dropbox, from Box, from any kind of cloud services, you can get that done with Power Automate. So Power Automate can reach out to any of the system, fetch data, and run the same approval it needs to do within the system that you called it for. So it means that you can connect to almost the data sources that you can imagine, over 275 of them, ranging from Azure to Zendesk to Salesforce to OneDrive to any kind of thing you can call off. You can fetch data within this system. So another thing again we need to know again is that it's easily connected to the cloud and the on-premises data, which I did mention. So you can actually connect to your on-premises data you have in your environment. Not only that we can connect to the cloud services, but also we can leverage the on-premises data gateway to pull data from inside of a local network and push it to the cloud. These are the things that Power Automate can do for us. Now, if you look at those native integrations, it is fully integrated within the OneDrive, within your teams. You can automate even within Excel. In fact, this is the one that just got me thinking. Even Excel has an add-in that you can do small automations within an Excel services. Microsoft is making this thing to go deep down to everything that we work with. So with OneDrive, you can call up all your attachments. Once anyone sends email with an attachment to you, it can move it immediately to a particular location you want. With just not writing one single code, just point 1, 2, 3 clicks, and you get your things done within the section. So you can run things like trying to look for a scenario that can work here now. Repetitive tasks. It can do reminders to you at a set time of when that action is supposed to happen. Automations can do this for you. And let me just say here, most of these things I'm talking about, you may not need the IT to do these things for you. It is actually meant for business users. And that's why Microsoft calls it citizen developers. Those who can begin to do small things within the system without the need of calling IT to get those things done. So basically what the IT is doing is just to do the governance around these things.
Hi, Dozie, sorry to interrupt you again. I think some attendees haven't been able to see your screen. So
You mean
I don't know
this?
if you share. Yes, if you can stop sharing and share your screen again.
For how long now?
10, 15 minutes. Within the last 10 minutes, so to speak.
Wow. That is so bad. Wow, that is so bad.
So you can stop presenting and then share. Thanks.
Hey. Please do call my attention once my screens are not moving. It's important, please. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah. I can see your screen.
Yeah.
I can see the presentation, but I'm just giving you feedback from the participants.
Wow. Okay. I'm so sorry about that. I'm so sorry. So what do you suggest? Do you suggest we still move on, or do we need to? But are you able to hear me?
You guys would definitely share the recordings and the presentation slides with them. But yes, I think you're back on now. I can see your screen, but I'm not sure if we would have to confirm from everyone if they can see.
Can we do that confirmation, please? Please, can anyone see my screen? Everyone see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Yeah, it's back on now.
Wow. So please feel free to interrupt me because I can't see exactly what you are seeing. Feel free to interrupt me when you can't see the movement of my screen. It's important. Please. Thank you so much for that feedback. Thanks a lot. Okay, so we are still talking about Power Automate. We're about to round off the things we can do with Power Automate within our enterprise. And basically what we are saying that these things are most times the things we have already paid for. So if you have Office 365, you already have these tools embedded within Office 365, all of them. If you have the E5 plan, then you have your Power BI scattered within that environment. So these things are already what we have paid for and we have been paying for. It's time for us to engage with these tools and begin to drive value within the within our environment. Okay, so let me just move a little bit again. Like I did mention, you can enhance productivity with integration to Office 365. So whether you want to design, collaborate on Microsoft Flow, Visio, you can start your automation from Visio itself. It is end-to-end, you can begin there. You can do a bot with Power Automate. You can trigger processes within Power BI. You can do request approvals, which is common within our industry. You can communicate even in your teams. So you can run applications in your teams. People can initiate processes from within the teams. All these things are interconnected together. And you're not doing any API together work. They're already there. All right. So basically, one of the things that's so common within a scenario that's common within industries is approvals. You want to go on leave. If there's a way I can get into my environment, you see that all these things will have templates for every one of them. So you can automate approvals to focus on the value of your tax. You can do a whole lot within this system, which Microsoft has actually given to us. And that is why you have us as your partners. We are standing by. We can support you to call up any of these services to begin to speak to your business and give value within the industry. Okay, so let me move on a little bit faster. Now, we still have some processes that is a little bit sophisticated. You begin to think of what you can do with the level of complexities of these applications. So not only that, we also have the ability to generate rich analytics on top of these processes. Once you build them in Power Automate, which means we can figure out where people are spending as they run through a process. Now, there is a service that came out as a result of response to COVID-19. I didn't mention it when I was doing Power BI. It just came to my mind now. So there is a service. I hope I'll do a presentation on that very soon for Power BI. Now, you can actually monitor your remote staff's work. You can track every time that every employee is spent on a system doing work. It is amazing when I run through that Power BI application. It's just a response of remote work to tell you the things we can do within the power of these tools that Microsoft has given us. So a HR may not need to bother by himself. He can monitor everything based on analytics, every work. When you log into a system in the morning, the system tracks it. When you complete a task, it tracks it. When you leave your system for 5 minutes and go out, it will track it. When you come back on your system and touch it, it captures everything. So a HR can sit down and just looking at the dashboard of calling up employees and see the dashboard of their work behavior, how they have been able to work throughout the whole day. So the behavior of an employee can be tracked even while we are doing remote work section. Because of COVID-19, that's a response from Microsoft, and is something that I'll be willing to share with customers so that they can get the work done very correctly. All right, so let's just do the last part of it is Power Apps. Now, yeah, come up. I can hear you.
Okay, so does it track the product, like the outcome of the work done, or it just track your activities on your computer? What exactly does it track? Is it the outcome, the end product of what you have done using that time given, or it tracks just your activities, your electrical activities on the computer? I'd like to know.
Okay, so I hear you very, very clearly. So the center of all we are doing within an organization is data. Now, if there is an end product of what I'm supposed to do, and I'm supposed to key in a data at the end of it all, then that data is accessible and it can present the outcome of what you have done for the day. Now, if you don't have anything that targeted to the end product of what you are doing, then it means that your behavioral patterns will be what will be presented. In fact, I know of a company that what they do is that once you wake up in the morning, put on your laptop, you call and they'll say, okay, you are up. So you don't need to do all those things. It will track your behavioral with the system. And if there is an end product in view that you have been assigned to do, that you can capture that data, then it will present it also in a dashboard to say, look, this is the outcome of all the things you have been doing at the end of the day. If I didn't answer it very clearly, just let me know. We can take it a little bit from here. I will do a recap on that again.
Okay, it's all right. You could just shoot.
Okay. That's awesome. Yes, I will share more details on that application, and you guys can go about and take a look at it and see the things that it can present within the system. Yes, I will do that. Okay, so the final component we're going to look at today, because our time is far running out, is on the Power Apps. In fact, Power Apps is gaining more traction within the hands of frontline employees than any other thing else. So you can build your applications now and it runs on mobile. And the idea is, I don't need my system again to initiate a vacation request. I don't need my system to trigger a response to a process within the company. So all I need now is my mobile. Once I have my mobile, these things, I can do it any place I am at any convenient position. I can get it done. So what does Power App do? Power App is majorly for citizen developers when it started, but because of requests and the way it's being used in an organization, Microsoft has also gone to the point of making provision for IT developers and the pro developers as well. So what it means is that pro developers that use their Visual Studio can now also migrate the applications that are built on Power Apps into Visual Studio to make it more robust the way they are used to work with phone. So Power Apps, again, is one of the components that is moving so fast within the system. Like I did mention, every processes that's been automated, you act on it with your Power Apps. So Power Apps, just like the form that captures the data, is like the form that presents the data. You use the form to capture data. When you want to interact with the data also, you interact with the data via the Power Apps, because it calls up and pulls up all these connectors that you reached out to your isolated system within the environment. So if I want to call up an employee profile like we've used before, once I call it up, it's my Power Apps that will present these things to me. So I can interact with it and submit back again to the database through these very apps that were presented. So with Power Apps, we can develop faster than ever before with Microsoft Power Platform. The time will fail us if we can take maybe one or two demos around, I wouldn't know, but my time is almost fast spent. So it is a low-code approach to building applications. It's very low. You don't need to write any code. Yeah, I'm with you.
Sorry, there's a part I'm actually interested in. Just go back.
Okay.
Back.
Back.
Take it back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it, yeah?
Perhaps maybe it's lagging. So you talked about connecting and collection of this data. I needed you to talk about the connectors and the gateways. What it's like. Because, again, one thing to have what can collect. Is another thing to know what you need to put in place to actually, collect this data. Just talk about the connectors and the gateways. I'm very much interested in that.
Okay. All right. So I don't know at what point in time you joined, but I was able to dissect the type of data we use in Power Platform by two types of data. And I call it that one is external data and one is internal data. And the question you're asking me now is coming from the external data. And how do you know external data? External data are data that is not residing within Power Platform, but you get it from outside. And what it means is that the only means you can reach out to get it from outside is that you connect to it. All right. So how do you connect? Now, I showed us a plethora of services, about 275 of them, and plus counting, that Microsoft has already presented for us. So if I call up any services, for example, if I want to start a new application, I just pick up a template. Then the first thing it's going to ask me is, where is the source of the data for the application you want to develop? So it will open up for me plethora of these services that look, does your data reside in OneDrive? Does it reside in SQL Server? Does it, first of all, give me all the cloud services? Now, if any of them is where my data resides, all I need is just to click on it. It can be from the email. Just click on it immediately. It will present the window of that information and begin to take me like a wizard, telling me, do you need this? Do you need that? And that's all I need to do to connect. Now, Microsoft has, some of them are paid. For example, Dropbox. They have already had agreement with these cloud services. So Microsoft has given us free of charge. And some of them, we need to do a small payment before we can get that connector from that company. So they have it already, but you need to do a small payment before you can get it. So that's few of them. Many of them that we work with, Microsoft has paid for them already. All you need is just to click on what you want, and it begins to take you through to ask you questions about where your data is, what you need to do with the data, what are you looking at, what field are you looking at, to present some of these things to you already. So I wish we'll have time. We'll have done one demo of one of the services and see how we can connect. So for the gateway, for example, if you take Power BI, for example, you want to connect to your SQL Server, there's always a gateway service you need to click, download that gateway, install it within your environments, and you connect with that gateway, reach out to either your SQL Server or Oracle Server, anything you have. Of course, it will ask you for a level of connection string that you can handshake within your environment. It might be a user password. It might be a string that you need to go through before you can have that handshake within your on-premises environment. But basically, the gateway that connects these two guys together has been given to you. All you need is just to download and connect to it and put in your credentials, and you are good to go. All right, can we move forward a bit?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, let me see if I can locate where we stop. We talked about that these things are low code. I wish I can have time to, because the things you are seeing on the screen is an application which also I took time to do a demo for a particular client. I wish I can locate where it is again and call it up. And you see, this is what done in Power Apps. And there's no line of this, just like a kind of inventory services. So you can use it to build your inventories. And Power Apps is so versatile that you can do it can scan, it can do your scanning. It can scan any barcode. For example, if I use it for inventory services, all I need is just to go with my phone. If I use my phone and go to any branch, I want to take an inventory of what is in that branch. All I need is just to take my phone very close to it, snap that particular service. It will immediately enter it within the system and route it again back at the back end of the system. So it captures everything that's within it. Let me give you a scenario. Someone coming from Abuja last before this lockdown came up. He's into courier services. So he wants a situation. He has a website. He told me that some people are doing an app for him. So he called me to find out if he can get a scanner that will be able to scan. When you submit, when you deliver, when you do a delivery, you sign off some document that you actually received this delivery. So he wants a situation where you can have a small scanner that can scan this and it will enter into the system and also feed into the website. And I told him that unfortunately he has started developing his apps, but he doesn't need that. All you need is an Android phone that you downloaded Power Apps, which is free of charge for you. So the delivery person can just go in, deliver. On the point of delivery, he scans the delivery details. Once he scans the delivery details in that inventory service through Power Apps, it will register on the back-end system and also pull up to the website. And the man was like, wow, am I sure? I said, yes, I'm very sure what I'm talking about. So these are the things we can do with these within these apps, and they are within us. We can lay hands on that and make use of it. Now, if you are someone in this section, and probably the challenge you have is that you don't have access to your environment. Microsoft has given us you can get a 1-year tenant for yourself as a developer. 1-year tenant developer. You can do a whole lot and build a amount of things and get your hand dirty on these things. Maybe when I'm sending the details, I can send you a link to this developer site. You can actually register and get a tenant for yourself and play around with some of these things. Don't forget that we are still a call away, an email away. We can support you in any of these developments. So finally, these are the things you can do with Power Apps. These are applications already have been developed already with Power Apps, and you can do much more than that. Now, I did mention that the power users, which is finally the power users, the pro developers, those who are used to writing codes, they now have a new feature that they can translate what they did in Power Apps and move it to Visual Studio and do greater things. And we'll have the Power Apps CLI for us now that we can work with. I will not go deep into it. Maybe any section I'm going to have with the developers, I can take a whole lot with this, and we can discuss how we can move on from that. I think I will stop at these and ask for questions before we can wrap up the section. It's already 12:05. Thank you so much. Do you have any questions? If I can come up in here. Questions? Let me see.
Yes, I have a question, please.
My
name is Chima. My name is Chima. So I want to know, what are the limitations? To what extent can you develop using these tools, these Power App tools you just demonstrated? To what extent? What are the limitations?
Okay, so these things are dynamic, and they are being addressed concerns every day. I can tell you now that there are no limitations in the sense that relatively there are no limitations, because you have an open doors to get going, to extend your applications. Now, once you can extend any applications, of course, you know that the limitations is only within the requirements that you have. So for those who are pro developers who want to do a lot of codes within their applications, I've just showed us an extension API CLI that you can migrate your Power Apps you have already built into a Visual Studio, and you can continue development from there. So I would rightly say that there is no limitations. All you know is that you can extend whatever that you have been given with, and all of them are APIs. And once you can develop your own custom APIs, you can go to any extent and move in. So that's the way I can answer it. But except you have some things in mind you want to share with me, then we can look around how that can be talked about.
Okay, I wish we have more time for some demos. Would have seen some of the things you did with this, and maybe we'll try to see how far we can actually push it. But because of time, as you said, we didn't have much time for more demos. Thank you. I'm okay for now.
Thank you. Toyin, can we get another section where we can do a demo? Just since we have done overview entirely, can we get another section where we can do a demo across these services? Like I said, we can do a demo that will start from Power Apps, relate with Power Automate, get into Power BI. At least we can stop at these three. Can we get another section? If we can do that, then that'll be fine.
Yeah, hello.
Okay.
Hello, Rosie.
I'll reach out. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So I would have said, okay, Mr. Oji, thanks for the feedback. We can get in touch one-on-one, people who has
Okay.
indicated interest, so that we can go and engage further and engage
Okay.
further and further.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the people who have
That's
interest,
better.
reach out to us through Toyin or through Doze, and then we can take it up from there.